Well, Thor: Love and Thunder is still sitting at the top of the box office after raking in more than $300 million in its opening weekend, but it faces some competition this week with two new releases on the slate. Senior media analyst Shawn Robbins from Box Office Pro joins us for a box office preview. Thank you so much for your time. Let's talk about this new Thor movie. Had a huge opening weekend, but some of the reactions have been, I don't know, lukewarm. I just looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes, 67%, not too great. But Marvel films usually dominate the box office for several weeks. So will this be the case with Thor?
Yeah, I think it still will be, and we've seen some of the recent Marvel movies. There's been kind of a divide between critics and audiences. I think maybe the audience score is a little higher on this one, but at the same time, to be fair to your point, it's certainly not at the height of, I think, some of the bigger Marvel movies we've seen in recent years, and part of that's because I think a lot of fans have just become spoiled by really great content, so the expectations are higher. But there's certainly a runway for this movie, and it should still be at the top of the box office, at least for one more week.
And let's get to one of the big new releases, the one from Samuel L. Jackson. Looks pretty funny. Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, which is supposed to be a remake of sorts of Blazing Saddles, that classic comedy. What should we expect from this film? And no spoilers, please.
I haven't seen this one, so I can't spoil it. This one is coming out, I think, a little bit of a disadvantage because the Minions film is still going really strong. It'll be going into its third weekend. We're not expecting a whole lot from Paws of Fury at the box office, but it does kind of provide some new content for families who have already seen Minions and really haven't had many other animated movies to choose from. So it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, but our expectations are definitely conservative.
And there's also Where the Crawdads Sing, has been a New York Times bestseller for 157 weeks. What are the chances that it will translate to box office sales?
This one we're a little bit more optimistic about. I think there's some upside. The industry has expected maybe an opening around 10 million. I think it could go a little bit higher than that. We expect some strong play, especially in the South, for a number of reasons where the book is essentially set. Female audiences have been buying tickets pretty well in a lot of regions. This is a movie that really tests some of that market too, because as we have really well documented throughout the pandemic recovery at the box office, it has been female audiences that have been the most cautious to come back. But they have started to come back this summer with movies like Elvis. So this is kind of the next iteration of that sort of mid-range movie that tests the appetite to go see in the theaters.
I did see that Elvis. Elvis is pretty good. You mentioned the pandemic here. Just real quick, 30 seconds. Has the movie industry rebounded after those lockdowns forced the theaters to close up shop?
It certainly has. This summer has been a godsend for both studios and theaters. I think we're at the point now where we can safely say that there's not going to be an issue with any type of demand from audiences. People want to go back to the theater. It can coexist with streaming. What we're looking at now is more what's on the release calendar. It's about content, what's actually in theaters. We've had a busy summer. We're going to have a couple of slow months in August and September, and then it picks back up with more movies in the fall and winter. That's really just kind of where we're at right now.
Good to hear, especially with COVID cases on the rise. People want something to do. Well, I guess going into theaters, that wouldn't really be much. Never mind. So Netflix it is. Shawn Robbins, Senior Media Analyst at Box Office Pro. Thank you so much and have a good weekend.
You too.